Hey everybody, my name's Robert, and we are gathered here to talk about the latest expansion for the Lord of the Rings LCG. It's the Voice of Isengard. It's got all kinds of awesome stuff going on with it, particularly Saruman.
Is it the most beautiful box that they've done for
It
Lord of the
is.
Rings?
It's got purple.
It is.
They did purple correctly.
Gold, white. It looks
Powerful
absolutely
colors.
fantastic. Yeah, regal as all get out. So, anywho, we're going to start this video off looking at some of the player cards, and we'll have a subsequent video talking about the encounter cards, so you can see those or not see those as you like. New in this pack, we have 2 heroes. Count them, 2. And let's just kick it off. You want to do the first one, Zach?
I will. First up, we have Amir, who, oh my god, this art is
It's a Magali, so you know it means quality.
absolutely my favorite artist for FFG, and she killed it. Man, okay.
Just look at that.
Anyways.
Hold on. Wait,
On a horse.
savor the picture.
Yeah, hold on. I need a moment. Okay, I'm good.
Take your time.
Yeah, we could just be done with it.
We're done.
That's it. It's
Buy
like
it. Buy
the
it just for
epitome.
that card.
Yeah. So starting threat 10, 1 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, 4 health. Ymir,
Solid.
unique. He's Rohan. He's noble. He's a warrior.
Great traits.
He has a response. After a character leaves play, Ymir gets +2 strength until the end of the round. Limit once per round.
Can you imagine if it wasn't limit?
It seems really strong.
Very
yeah.
strong.
It seems like a good ability. And his stat line is just so boss anyway.
Yeah, and then considering that you could run him, he's tactics. There's the Theoden tactics here that would make him effectively a 2/3/2 with 4 hit points. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a really big fan of Prince Imrahil,
Mhm.
who also has a when stuff leaves play effect.
Yep.
So whether or not you run them together or just 2 people on the board running this, benefiting from stuff leaving play is typically a really good thing.
Important to know is any character too. After a character leaves play, so like
Any
that's a
ally,
pretty
any
easy
hero.
condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially anything that discards itself for an effect. This guy is really boss. You can build some synergistic, 2-person, 3-person decks with this kind of
Yeah.
guy in mind.
Yeah.
For
Totally.
10 threat, pretty much 5 strength.
Yeah, and moreover, we've gotten previews from the cycle that's coming up after this pack or this expansion, and they've got these Sylvan Elves coming that reputedly will have bouncy effects in and
Yeah.
out of play,
Bounce
Oh,
which
no.
will fuel that so nicely, and including Imrahil as well. So yeah, there's decks and combos and teams building for sure.
I'm
excited.
I love the bouncy.
Yeah.
I've loved it from the beginning. That's why Imrahil appealed to me. But
Targaryen.
I mean, who doesn't want to use this card?
I don't know. Yeah, I
Everyone,
really don't.
and
that's
I
the
mean,
problem, really.
the art alone has pretty much made it an auto-include. So.
And he's a Rohan, man. I love that we just keep getting more of those boss horse lords.
Looking great.
Speaking of, can I go on to another boss horse lord?
Some have said as much. Yeah.
Semi-horsey.
It's really interesting. I was going to ask you more about the Grima kind of lore in history because me really only being involved. I read the books a long time ago, but really only being involved in the movies. You kind of see him in a different, very negative light from the beginning.
Yeah.
But he is a 9-threat, 2 quest, 1 attack, 2 defense, 3 health, Rohan and Isengard. He's a lore hero. Action, lower the cost of the next card you play from your hand this round by 1. That card gains Doomed 1 and its limit once per round.
Cool.
So he's a very efficient. He gets guys out a lot faster. And so, do
With
you
the
know?
price.
But he
Yeah.
raises your 3.
Yeah, with
Do
the
you know a
price.
little bit more about Grima? Was he actually just kind of like a noble dude that fell, or what's the story there?
Well, it's essentially the story of Rohan in general is that they're pretty noble folk, but they came under the influence of Saruman and over time became corrupted and his puppets and all that good stuff. And Grima was probably the first of those people to really fall under his sway.
Nice.
So that's really long and short of it. But otherwise, yeah, he's a pretty solid dude.
And
So-
other than that, he's great. He's a nice guy. Really, he kept to
You
himself.
should
mostly.
have him over sometime. He's great.
How much does this do for lore decks, ultimately? -1 to things for a threat. Is that a significant effect, you think?
I don't know. It's curious because it's only one resource essentially that you're netting here, but it's raising every single player's threat by 1. Whether or not that is worth it or not really depends on the situation and what it is you're trying to bring into play, because there are some really good lore cards out there that cost a pretty penny. What's a good example of that? Gildor's Council is a great one. So you can pay 3 and reduce the amount of cards that get dealt by 1. But if you just pay 2 for that and everybody goes up by 1 threat, arguably that's going to be worth it no matter what. But yeah, it's an interesting card for sure. The only thing that I really have any kind of doubts about it is its threat stat line. I was kind of hoping that maybe it would get, I don't know, an extra willpower or something like that, or maybe 8 starting threat, something like that. Lore kind of has a higher cost than average, I think, or at least proportionate to what they give you than most other spheres. So it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't say he's as good as Aomer, but he's worth considering for sure, nonetheless.
And he's Rohan.
Yeah, he is Rohan. You can do some stuff with that Rohan trait.
One thing that I do really like, I tend to play, I've been into like the spirit lore kind of things, and there's a lot of those one-cost spirit cards that you don't know if you're going to need them or not. So you're holding them to like cancel Shadow Effect or to cancel this or that. And I feel like, after you marshal your stuff out, after you play your stuff, you can activate his ability at there's no cost.
Yeah.
And if you happen to need to play one of those cards, you can play it for 0 later on, and then you don't have to worry about Doomed unless you actually use the ability. So I think
you some flexibility.
Yeah, I think it's solid, and I think Lore kind of has some of those situational things as well. So maybe that's where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, totally. I buy that for sure.
And it's perfect flavor because everybody suffers when he does well.
It's perfect.
Thanks, Grima.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, why don't you kick off the hallmark of the pack, huh?
All right, yeah. So the first, I guess, non-hero card we have here is Saruman. He is 3 cost, 3 willpower, 5 attacky, 4 defendy, 4 hit pointy. He's
Saruman.
He's an Astari and Isengard traded, and then he reads Doomed 3. At the end of the round, discard Saruman from play, and then response. After Saruman enters play, choose a non-unique enemy or location in the staging area where Saruman is in play. The chosen enemy or location is considered to be out of play.
How do you feel about this?
I like it a lot. Now, I wouldn't say I like him as much as like the core box Gandalf, who does a similar high-cost bouncy one-shot awesome thing. But Doom 3 is a fairly, I don't know, tantalizing price to pay for getting something out of play, because there are all kinds of quests and scenarios where there's just something that you don't want to deal with right now, whether it's a pesky hill troll or even in some of the more recent quests, you have a pretty formidable setup that you have to overcome. And if you can drop a Saruman and just not have to deal with one of those cards, and then he is killing it with his stats, that would be pretty fantastic.
Well, at only 3 costs.
His stat line is phenomenal. I think his versatility here, he can commit if you need that. He can attack if you need that. He can defend if you need that. And he removes something from play. Could be enough to raise the threat as much as that's going to raise it.
Yeah, generally there's at least one card that you're going to just set up with that has 3 or 4 threat, and whether or not you were going to underquest by that amount, and then this will proportionately like counterbalance that. Kind of just depends on the situation, but it's definitely interesting to consider.
What can we say enough about wizard staves? By the way, I know that I think we're probably pretty similar in this light. Wizard staves are the coolest things.
They really are.
Like, you think swords are cool, but there comes a moment in your life where you switch to wizard staves for sure.
It's a coming of age, really.
It's got little hands on it, and I don't know what it is that makes that so cool, but I'm like, that is the coolest staff that I have ever seen. It's simple, but it's like, oh, this guy is a boss.
Yeah, he's
like,
ballin'.
No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I love that staff. We were talking about that earlier. It looks it's so like regal and like authoritative, all this kind of stuff. It's just what Saruman needs.
And it's a little kind of a gray line, because it's like, it's kind of a little creepy. as well. But
bunch of hands. What's going on?
Classic story.
So Saruman, cool. I feel like you run him and Gandalf, of course, can be in the same deck, and maybe
not Radagast though.
Not Radagast.
He's got bird poop on his face.
Oh,
depends
why?
on where you get your
Yeah, that's right.
So that's Saruman.
That's Saruman.
Really interesting card. Am I next?
Yeah,
sure.
Let's
Go
do
for
it.
it.
If you want to be.
Next up, I do, because I love this guy.
Look at that art to start off with.
Yeah.
More great art.
Okay, it's not Magali. I was going to be angry.
But still, that's
the,
a great...
The background is
Adam
awesome.
Lane. Making some moves here.
That's right.
He's a 2-cost leadership ally, 1 willpower, 0 attack, 2 defense, 2 health. Isengard trait, response, after you raise your threat from the doomed keyword, ready or thank guard.
Pretty cool.
I dig that.
And it's some awesome synergy, because you can use Grima over there to do any kind of doomed whenever it might be required, because, hey, I need a quick chump defender in a hurry, and boom, he's back and ready to go in the middle of like the combat phase and all that good stuff. So
Grima starts to
pretty
make
solid
sense.
defender there too.
Yeah,
right?
2 defense,
kind of
2
right
hit
where you
points.
need him for 2 costs.
Yeah,
he could easily
excellent.
block two things without dying or potentially dying to the second phase.
And he's looking all purpley and awesome there. So
He does look pretty ballin'.
Why wouldn't you run that?
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the Isengard Messenger. He follows a similar stat line. 2-cost lore guy. He's got 1 for the quest, 0 attack and 1 defense, and then 2 health. He is Isengard, and he has a response after you raise your threat from the Doomed keyword. He gets +1 quest until the end of the round, and you can do that twice per round.
Up to 3.
Up to 3 for some threat, and I feel like that's good.
That is good.
I mean, it's really good if you're
Lore
already...
getting a good quester, too, is kind of cool.
If you're
It's
already
unusual,
raising it
sure.
for Doomed, it's really good.
Yeah. And the fact that he has 2 hit points, more and more, this is like a absolute necessity for me. I can't really bring myself to run 1 hit point allies anymore because there's so many little effects. So it's like, oh, is this condition met for that particular character?
Deal 1 damage. Characters.
It's like, there he goes. I can't waste that many resources just for 1 damage. So yeah, I'm really glad to see this guy. He's got an obvious niche to fill, but it's pretty potent if you make it work right. Get the synergy rolling.
It's good.
Yeah. All right, next up.
More art, man. Who
That
is
art
this?
is amazing.
Diego.
Anytime you got like those like
Gisbert
horsehair
Lorenz.
plumes on a helmet,
Yeah.
it's
Well, and you also
just-
have like the arrows in the background that are kind of out of focus.
You know, I said about wizard stats, shields also.
Yes, you become more inclined
Shield
to
and
shield.
staffing.
If you just had a shield and a staff,
Oh my gosh.
Can't lose, really.
staff and shield.
Oh man, maybe your shield's also a spear, or I'm sorry, your staff is also a spear on one end, and then wizard. I don't
On
know.
the top or the bottom now.
I don't know. I'm multi-classing now.
It's getting weird for me.
Hit us with that Outrider. Robert.
All right,
What do
he
you-
is a 2-cost tactics ally. He has 0 willpower, 2 attacky, 1 defending, 2 hit pointy, of course. And then he is Rohan, scout traded with the words action, discard Westfold Outrider to choose an enemy not engaged with you, engage the chosen enemy. Pretty great.
It's a discard effect. It's a triggered discard effect,
Yes.
of course, which Amir loves,
Mhm.
and I'm sure a lot of other cards can make use of.
Yeah.
Can't deny that.
I like this a lot because I run a tactics deck that's pretty heavy with ranged, so this is one that I wouldn't always go to, but there are plenty of other tactics decks where it can become kind of a thorny issue with players having to engage characters that they don't want to, and this is a great way to go. It's
Over to
fine.
me.
Yep.
It's also.
I'll handle this.
I mean, I'm just picturing. You have some of these standing characters, or that get boosted from something leaving play, and the ability to defend, then trigger the action to pull the guy over. So you have someone who's good at defense.
Yep.
He can take the big guy and defend him. Then you can pull him over and just.
Pummeling.
Yeah, totally. And you can trigger this even after he's already attacked. So
Yeah,
you
that's what I'm
do
saying. You can
both.
defend,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you can switch him to attack him.
Yep.
So. Very
Poor man's
useful.
range right there.
That's
Poor,
right.
poor man's range.
I can't afford
Yeah, he
it.
will be poor after paying 2 for characters. He's just discarded.
That's right. You got to run that Horn of Gondor because you get 1 resource back whenever a character leaves play.
There's a deck here.
Yep. There's totally
Not
a
saying
deck.
I built it, but there's a deck.
There's a deck.
All right, next up we have a
I love this
1-cost
card.
spirit ally, 1 willpower, 0 strength, 0 defense, 1 health. Rohan traded. Westfold Horse Breeder. Response: after Westfold Horse Breeder enters play, search the top 10 cards of your deck for a mount, attachment, and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck.
That's right. Interesting. What do you think, Steven? You
I
seem
mean,
to be in love with this.
The problem is I haven't done the necessary research to make sure that all the horses I'm thinking of are in fact mounts.
There's only 3. There's Asphalloth.
Okay.
There's one we're about to get to, and then there is God, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a spirit.
It's a spirit horsey.
Spirit horsey.
Okay. The one that you can do.
You
I think,
spirit
do on the
horsey
quest.
mount.
You
Of course.
quest, you spend a resource, and then he can ready.
Okay, so I was just thinking Asphalloth. Yeah, I mean once that gets going, it's like
That's great. Yeah.
that is such a key part of a deck, and talk about making that consistent. Pretty fantastic on that front. I really don't think you're going to see a whole lot of this until we get a few more mounts that really make it worth your time.
Yeah.
But this is one of those sleeper cards that just sets up a really nice consistency in a deck that will use a lot of different mounts, and that deck to me sounds awesome. I
mean,
love horses.
You like horses?
I feel like in this game, card draw and getting cards is not easy to come by.
Yeah.
So the fact that you get to put an ally into play, which you can commit, which you can use to block and just die, but that also lets you potentially go into your deck and get a card into your hand, can be huge, especially when you read some of the mounts. Like
Even just with 3 Asphalloth and 3 of the Spirit Horse, this is still probably worth it. One resource.
Yeah, it costs 1 resource, and contrary to what we said earlier about 1 hit point allies like that, there are the occasions where defeat is foregone conclusion, like this, whatever I block with will die. So how about this silly Westfold horse breeder here?
What a sad story.
Who just wants to talk to the horses all day. She's got to go.
Yeah, and it would be a shame if you had cards that wanted characters to leave play.
That's right.
But maybe you do.
Maybe you do. So, options.
So do we have any mounts coming?
Well, look at this one.
See here.
Look at this Rohan Warhorse, a 1-cost tactics mount attached to a tactics or Rohan hero, restricted. Response after a tactics hero participates in an attack that destroys an enemy, exhausts the Warhorse to ready attached hero.
That seems good.
Can't speak enough about these kinds of effects. They are great.
Standing equals awesome.
Yes. I mean, more mileage for whatever you already have in play is excellent.
This feels like it goes right in there with your enhancement stacking or attachment stacking tactic stack.
Yeah, it very much does, because generally I pump one of my heroes to be able to one-shot most anything, so if they could do that repeatedly.
Twice?
Especially Legolas.
With ranged? Oh, baby.
But it's restricted, though, so you can only have so many, and I'm running a lot as it is. So you got to make choices.
But
balance,
it
man.
good.
Good balance.
It seems good for one.
It's very good for one, no doubt about it. All right, next up, a spirit attachment, 2-cost silver lamp, and it's an item, and it says attached to a spirit hero. While attached hero is ready, shadow cards dealt to enemies engaged with you are dealt face up, and parentheses, shadow card effects are still resolved when resolving enemy attacks. That's it. Interesting card, for sure. I like it a lot. But
so where in the the dealing of shadow cards is after defenders have been declared, right?
Before. So when
good.
they're engaged with you, it's like right at the start of the combat phase.
Okay, that makes more
Good.
sense.
Yeah, we always I think we kind of skip past the proper, like, because it's like, oh
Do
yeah,
whatever
I'll
you want.
defend here, deal the shadow cards and do it. But knowing that you can do that, and then that's perfect. I absolutely love this card then for Spirit.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's what we should be doing.
It's an interesting peer to the Burning Brand, which this one essentially gives you prior knowledge to everything, but Burning Brand, if you already know what character is getting at least cards that even have a shadow effect, you can slot your defenders appropriately, so then that shadow effect is canceled before it even happens. So pretty cool synergy there in terms of like controlling the shadow side of the game.
A silver lamp and a Burning Brand.
That's right. We just need more light.
I love it.
Always a good thing.
That's right.
I love it.
More light, please.
All right, next up we have what seems to be a neutral attachment. 1-cost unique.
You skipping me? No, I did the last one. Duh. But Dane Bramage.
I mean,
you can.
You can skip a row if you want. It's unique. Keys of Orthanc. Item attached to a hero. Response. After you raise your threat from the Doom keyword, exhaust Keys of Orthanc to add 1 resource to attached hero's resource pool.
Love that art, by the way.
Seems
It's
good.
Magali.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Stealth Magali.
We don't usually put her on key duty.
She's doing
What?
keys.
She's just
Doing
doing
keys.
inanimate objects these days? Well, no wonder they look so good.
I bet you this is part of a bigger portrait. We'll find it later. I'll put money
Play
on it.
Matt, Lord of the Rings.
Well,
There's
is it,
some-
I assume it's Saruman. I mean, it's got a kind of white
That's all I'm
ribbon.
saying. There's probably
Yeah.
some giant banner we're going to see someday
Look
with
at
this on
that.
it.
I don't think a wizard would ever have their belt that well. Is that untidy or is that meant to be like that?
I don't know.
It looks like it's tied like pretty cool actually. Now that I
Pretty
look at it.
fancified.
This is a great card, by the way.
It is a great
Everyone
card.
agrees with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're running Doom, of course this is going to...
Someone
I
at the
just
table
wish you
is going to
didn't,
do some
didn't
Doom
have to
stuff.
exhaust this, but it could otherwise get out of control.
Oh
pretty quick,
yeah, I
guess.
think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, real
I'm gonna
quick.
go ahead and,
it's
get
unique
12
too,
resources.
which is nice. Man, that art is just.
I could see throwing a one of in a lot of decks here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're
It's
running
good.
even a handful of these upcoming Doomed events, I think it's more than worth your time to run that.
Be neutral, too. It's nice.
Mhm. Any sphere, any
sphere.
time.
Pretty good with old Grima.
Garima Wormthong.
Pays
Just
for
say,
itself.
Lower the cost of the next card, and then you get a resource for the keys.
Play it for free, get a resource.
I think that's
Boom.
pretty solid.
He's got some keys, man.
How about Legacy of Numenor?
Oh my god, this
How about it?
0 cost leadership.
No,
Yeah.
that's a steep price to pay.
It is an event. It has
Can't afford
doomed
it.
4. Everyone
Ah!
raise your
4.
threat by 4, but you add a resource to each hero's resource pool.
That's good.
We need to think about. Really need to take a moment, time out, consider Doomed just in general, especially players having this, because we've seen this on encounter cards for a while now. But generally speaking, unless you're running like a low threat cost, spirity, secrecy type deck, you're going to be in and around the 30s, maybe under, maybe over. So going up by 4, when you generally have 20 to 25 threat to go before you're out of the game, is quite a bit. Let's be honest.
Yes,
But yeah.
let's consider this for a moment.
But yeah, indeed.
Let's just say, on the very first turn, every player suddenly has 2 resources on every character instead of 1.
It's true.
That is
I've thought about that.
6
is
resources
so
per
fast.
person.
You should not lose that game.
Yes, I would agree.
Like, the 4th threat is worth the 4th threat you will not be taking over multiple turns of being able to commit, to attack, to kill, to set up. I mean, that is just...
It's crazy.
I think this card early is just phenomenal.
Unbelievable. I could so see, like, Spirit obviously is already doing a lot of threat lowering, but, like, if you have a Spirit deck that is just maxed out, like, that's, you're not even quite, you're just, like, trying to lower threat as much as possible.
Everybody's now running a
You have
deck.
one of those and everyone else is running Doom stuff and those synergies. I think that could go a long way because you can just speed your curve up so fast with cards like this and the ones to come.
Yeah.
Like,
and that art is crazy good too.
and it is the nail in the coffin of secrecy. So if you're gonna play this game with some friends, make sure that you understand what's going on here.
I had to work so hard to get to starting at 19, and then you doomed for me right off the bat.
What the?
At least let me play a resource.
Yeah, but you've got double the resources.
I started with no heroes.
That's right.
I think it's Robert.
Is it
Yeah, I
finally
think it's
me?
you.
Oh, I'm so anxious for it. Okay, so next up, Deep Knowledge, not Doomed Knowledge. It might as well be. 0 cost lore event with Doom 2, of course, and then action. Each player draws 2 cards. Totes worth it. I mean, why not?
Would you do a Doom 6 for 2 more cards and 3 more resources at the start of the game?
Absolutely.
6?
Well, like this one and the other one we just looked
Oh,
at.
yeah.
I don't see how you lose. Like, it has to be
Well, you probably throw it out.
The only reason why it might not be worth your while is whatever the board might already have in play or deal to you in terms of the encounter costs or the encounter check value. You might have some baddies coming your way real quick because that's 6 additional threat. That puts you over the line.
But I mean, you should
around
also have
35
dudes.
where you get those big guys. But yeah, I know.
You can play dudes, you can play attachments.
But even with 6 and 2 extra cards, or 6 resources, 2 extra cards, you might not have what it takes. And we'll look at some of these encounter cards coming up, but they are only getting worse these days. So it's a mixed bag for sure. I mean, yes, it's awesome, but you have to be prepared for what's coming down the pipe too.
I don't know. I like it. I love pumping the thread up. It's like, let's do this thing.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Let's get to the game fast.
Yeah,
and,
but again, awesome art here. Like they're really nailing this whole Isengard thing.
Titus Lunter.
Looks great.
Absolutely.
Well done.
All right, next up we have a 0 cost tactics spell.
First of the spells, I think.
Doomed 3. It's called the Wizard's Voice.
He looks crazy.
Yeah, he's
does.
just going cuckoo.
Action.
Cocoa
Each
Puffs.
player chooses 1 enemy engaged with him. Till the end of the phase, each chosen enemy cannot attack the player that chose it.
This is the least
It's the least impressive.
impressive to me.
But I feel like
Especially out of tactics.
Mm-hmm.
it could, however, get you out of a really awful situation.
Who here has played Massagadal's Gilead? And
Yes.
we do not want, 4 characters or 4 enemy guys attacking us all at the same time on the first turn. But is that worth, an extra 3 resources and 2 cards and no
And the
attacking?
slot,
I mean, that's all kinds of.
It's tough. It's tough.
Bets that you're making, but it's
one of those,
definitely interesting.
It's one of those weird cards that you're kind of betting on getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of times you would just put cards in that will lead you to not be overwhelmed and not get into
Like
the
the previous 2
situation where you
cards.
need this. Yeah.
I agree.
Doom 3 is a lot for this, though.
It's
If
a
it
lot.
were-
I think that's too much. That feels
Yeah.
a little heavy for
2
me.
or 1.
I mean,
2, I would consider it way more.
I think
1
we also need to
definitely.
remember two things. One, if you're really playing off the Doom keyword,
Mm-hmm.
Doomed can be really good for you.
Yeah.
Part 1. Part 2 is, I think this is stronger with less players. This particular card.
I think you're right.
If something particularly bad comes out and you're playing solo or you're playing 2-player, this could easily be worth, hey, this particular guy can't attack.
Yeah.
And with Amir, of course.
It's less
Or not.
devastating than, I mean, you really need to be super overwhelmed in a 4-player game
Mm-hmm.
for this to be worth it.
And even if you're not overwhelmed, but you simply miscalculated, and this is the card that it's the difference between 1 or multiple people losing a hero, because I don't have a blocker. This is going to be unopposed damage going to one of my heroes, and I just can't afford losing a hero right now, which I don't think anybody ever is really ready or willing to have that happen. This can be a lifesaver, even for Doom 3.
Yeah.
Here's the card.
Yeah, this is the card.
Man, look at that
Seeing
art.
Stone.
Wait, hold on. One more.
No, you're on the wrong card.
Oh, my bad. Power of Orthanc.
This is not the card.
This
he was
is not the
talking
card,
about.
but this next one is the card.
I'm prematurely seeing stoned, everybody. Power of Orthanc. Is it mine? Am I
It is
going?
yours.
Yeah.
It's a spell. It's Doom
Well,
2.
wait.
It's
Yeah.
Spirit.
Carry the one.
Each player may choose and discard a condition attachment from play.
This is crazy.
This is very good.
Awesome. Crazy awesome.
In some quests, this is just like
Exactly what you need.
exactly what you need.
Exactly.
And especially when we look at what's coming down the pipe from the encounter decks, this card is bananas.
I mean, just you get to remove 4 conditions,
Yeah, up to.
or up to 4.
Up to 4.
I'm assuming 4-player. That's
Yeah,
how I
right.
play mostly.
That's fantastic.
Could be real strong.
It's really strong, but moreover, there I think was only one, if not 2, other means of getting conditions out of play before, and some of them, if not most of them, are just really awful.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to deal with them any
Horrible.
longer than you have to. This is 0 cost, and Doom 2 I think is a good price to pay, generally even for just getting one out of play.
Yeah.
So I like this a lot.
Cool. Finish her up with
If only there was
the
a way.
card.
All right, that's the card according to Steven. It is the Seeing Stone. It's
That's
0
so
cost,
cool.
neutral event, doomed 1, and reads: action, search your deck for a card with the doomed keyword and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck.
Oh yeah, lobby bar.
You're gonna want this.
I love it, man.
Yep.
I love it for a lot of reasons. It really not only does it make things more consistent, but it enables the Legacy of New Mortar Open that we're talking about. If you have 3 legacies and 3 Seeing Stones, you get it first turn every time.
Oh yeah.
And
And also talk about Saruman looking crazy.
yeah, he looks insane.
He's angry.
It allows you to include something like 1 Power of Orthanc and
Mhm.
3 of the Seeing Stone, and then maybe you throw in like a couple of other just random doomed things like tools, you know?
Yeah.
It becomes a little more toolboxy. I don't always need to get rid of condition attachments.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do,
But when you do, and that's the thing, is like I like these kinds of effects in Lord of the Rings specifically, not so much in like the competitive card games because they lead, to combo pieces and whatnot. But in Lord of the Rings, like I want a deck that can take on any quest, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the gold
Mhm.
thing that we're looking for. And if you can start including one of certain answers, then it makes those decks a lot more enjoyable to play.
Yeah,
So,
totally. So
I'm
what do you
in.
guys think about all these player cards?
I'm in, man. I'm so in. I think Doomed is going to be the kind of thing we come out of the gate and we're like, oh, Doom, no big deal. And then it's like, we're at 45. Right, what happened?
I love the idea of Doomed.
Mhm.
Raising the threat to get some substantial effect. To me, it feels like it pushes you into the end stages of the game faster in
Yeah.
a good way, where you get to those intense, epic moments. Your threat's high, enemies are coming at you, but at the same time, you got to play the cards that you built your deck around
Yeah.
and wanted to play. Sometimes I feel like if it gets off to a rough start, you just can't even do some of the stuff you really wanted to try with your deck. But I love it. Doomed. I love the Doomed keyword. It's so my style.
Super cool. And moreover, it's like really uber thematic, especially for this
Yeah.
expansion,
Yeah.
because Saruman, nobody knows anything. Nobody knows more about the ring and the enemy than Saruman does, and he's on the verge of being corrupted himself. So any of his advice and help is going to come with a steep price. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, it seems like they nailed it on the flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
for
did.
sure.
It's great.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching this Lord of the Rings unboxing. We will have the encounter cards coming up, so stay tuned for those. Find them on YouTube if you want to see that part of things. And you can always buy Voice of Isengard from us online or come by Tulsa and grab a copy in store, which is the preferred method.
It's worth the trip.
But teamconrad.com/store, you can find this and all of our other Lord of the Rings offerings. And if you want to subscribe and get all the adventure packs sent to you, not the expansions, the deluxes, but the adventure packs, then sign up. You can find that on our subscription side of things. It's a great thing to do. And as a Lord of the Rings player, if you can just know that all those packs are coming to you and just enjoy the game, it'll make your life even better.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.